Hi everyone, Lori here from Unique in the Creek. Come to bring you another video tutorial. This video tutorial is the beautiful daffodil. The daffodil today that I'm going to do is I'm going to do it in white. You can do it in any color you want. The most popular are white and yellow. You can change it up, the trumpet part of the flower to whatever you want. But today I'm just going to stick with the basic white daffodil with yellow pistons in the center. In front of me, I have all the things we're going to need to make this whole wreath. First thing you're going to need, of course, is the Unique in the Creek board. You are going to need zip ties, and there's a list attached to the beginning of this video, and it will be on the video tutorial code card when you get it in the mail. Okay, so we got the zip ties, we got our Unique in the Creek board, we need 2 rolls of mesh, preferably the thick mesh. It's the Taiwan mesh you can use, it's quite thin. You may need 2.5 rolls if you do have that type of mesh, but if you can, try and get the thicker stuff, the more plasticky stuff. We are going to need a center. So this center I use is a 2-pack from Dollar Tree. So you get 2 of them for $1. So that's not bad. You can make 2 daffodils for 50 cents or for $1. Grab a bottle of whatever color you're gonna use in your center. So I'm using yellow. So I just picked up a bottle of the acrylic paint from the Dollar Tree, again for $1 of the yellow. You're gonna need scissors. You're going to need clothespins. I love clothespins. I use them for everything. So if you want to pause your video and run around your house and collect all your clothespins, please do. You'll thank me later. I got my handy dandy electric scissors, which I absolutely love for cutting my mesh. My measuring tool. The whole wreath will be 9-inch pieces. And we got 2 pieces of 9 by 11 inch felt. This is going to be used to make the pistons. And glue gun. Mine's really bad, but this one is amazing. I've had it forever. It's from Super Bonder, and it's got the on and off switch. I just love it. It's got a fine tip. Anyways, so right now, all we're going to need we're going to make the center first before we start making the wreath. So we can put all of our stuff aside except for our center, our belt, and our glue gun. Okay. So for the center, of course, just paint the front of the center. It only takes a few minutes to dry. You don't have to worry about the sides or the back, because once we put it in the center of the flower, you won't even see the sides and the back. So don't even bother. Now your felt, make sure there's no stickers on it. Okay, so what we're going to do with this felt is we're going to line it up so there's the 2 pieces are on top of each other. Okay, and I'm going to fold it over. So I'm going to line up the 2 edges. Okay, so we're just folding both in half. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift the one piece up, run a little bead of glue just along the edge and tap it down. And then lift those 2 and another bead of glue and tap it down. And I do it like this, just this way, because then you don't burn your fingers. And then the last bead of glue just along the bottom. And tap it down. So we have 4 pieces upon itself. Okay. Okay. So once we have our belt folded, we are going to cut slits, cutting down where the folded side is, not where we glued. Okay. We're going to cut down where the folded. Now we probably won't use this whole piece, probably only use 3/4 of this piece. depending how many pistons you want in your center. If you want a lot of them and really full, then you can do the whole thing. I tend to do just 3/4 of it. So we're just going to snip down. Now you can use your measuring tape if you want to make the pistons perfect. Right now I usually do them about 1/2 inch, and then you're just going to cut down to 3/4 of the way. Okay, and I'm going to cut here, and it's just a guess. Like, you don't have to be precise on your sizing, because once we roll it up and put it in the center, you can't tell. Now, hopefully your scissors are sharp. Mine aren't the greatest. I've been using these for a little bit, and they're just from the dollar store, so. But I use my electric scissors for my main cutting. Okay, a couple more, and then I think that will be it for me. Yeah, I think that's good. So I'm going to cut the rest of this off. Now, should you, like I said, should you want more pistons, you can continue cutting the whole thing. But I'm just going to have a few. Now, if you were wanting to do like I did with the yellow daffodil, it had orange pistons in it. All I did was used one piece of yellow felt and one piece of orange felt on top of each other. Okay, so now we're going to roll the bottom of this. So just put a bead of glue. Now just be very careful when you're doing this part, especially right at the beginning. Just use your scissors to get that start up. As we all know, hot glue burns are not fun whatsoever. Okay, now we're just going to roll this. Be careful not to glue your fingers. Okay, and then right at the end we're going to put a bunch more glue just so it stays closed. Okay, so that's what I have. That's what it looks like. I might have to put, mine are unfolding here, so I'll just put a little bit more glue here, push that down, a little more here, and push that down. Don't worry about the glue on the outside of your felt because you're not going to see that either. Okay, so we have some pistons. Like I said, I only wanted not too many. So if you did the whole roll, you just have a few more of these little loopy things. Okay. I'm just going to add some more glue here to keep it closed. There we go. Okay, now this is where I should have probably grabbed sharper scissors. I'm just going to trim this down so it's a little bit flatter. Okay, I had a little piece sticking up there. So what we want to do is we want to slice this in 4 spots. Like I said, I didn't grab the best scissors. I guess I should have, but we'll see what we can do here. So you're just going to slide your scissors in somehow. Oh, I got glue on the end of my scissors. Okay. Okay, so if you can get your scissors in there, you're just going to make a little snip just like that. So that's 1. There we go. 2. And it doesn't look pretty right now, but it does. You won't see any of this. We're just going to, why we're doing this is we're just going to fold it down so it has a base that we can glue onto our foam. That's 3, and I rolled this pretty tight. There we go. 4. Get in there. Perfect. Okay. So when I open it up, I have a flat, I can push it down, and I have some flat pieces here, right here, that I can glue onto the center. open them up a little bit. Okay. So now, got to kind of, I think the center is about there. So I'm just going to, yeah, that looks good. So I'm just going to put my, I'm going to put some glue around that area. Okay, and then I'm just going to put some glue just like this, making sure you don't get it on you, on the folds. Okay, and then I'm just going to push this right down and hold it. Now you can push down those 4 pieces that are our base. Maybe use your scissors to push them down so you don't get it all over your fingers. I do have those finger glove things, but I'm just like a hands-on kind of girl, so even when I'm painting, I never wear gloves. Okay, let's just hold this down. So once this is done, our center is done till the very end of our wreath, so we can set this aside. Now these are flopping right now. Once we get into the wreath, the mesh will hold them up in place. So if yours are floppy, don't worry about it. Okay, I'm going to set this to the side because it's ready now to put in our wreath. Clean up this area. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to work from the outside in. It's glue gun. We're done with the glue gun for a little bit till the end. Okay, now the nice thing with our system is you can actually write right on the board. Where did my pencil go? So if you don't want to have too much confusion, you can plan out your board or your wreath before you even start it. So the first thing we are going to do, we're going to do that trumpet part that comes out of the daffodil. And to do that trumpet part, we are going to be using these. I guess I should have grabbed a pencil. 1 second, I'm going to grab a pencil. Not a pencil to be found. Okay, anyways, this pen works. So to do the trumpet, like I said, we're going to use these holes right here for their trumpet. Okay, I'm just going to put a T, 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 T. Now if you use pencil, you don't even need to erase this or anything, because once you put the mesh on, you won't see any of this. So those are our trumpet petals. So to make our trumpet petals, I can put this to the side right this second. So to make our trumpet petals, we need to have our mesh cut at 27 inches. 1 piece at 27 inches. So what I do is I put my little measuring tool on here. Now this is just a foam core board. If you didn't buy a kit or anything, you can cut it yourself. We just cut it in 9-inch lengths. And they're disposable, or you can use them for whatever. You can reuse them. So I have a couple always handy around because I use it quite a bit. It's so much easier than cutting strips. And with this flower, you really don't see the edges. So don't worry about wood burning. I tend to like to make wreaths that don't use a wood burner. I don't like burning plastic. Plastic is toxic, and that smoke that comes out and that stinky stuff, that is toxic to you. So I try my best to make flowers that you don't need to do that, so there's no frays. So for this first trumpet one, like I said, we're going to cut it in 27 inches. So we got 9 inches. 18. Now here's where your clothespins can come in handy, so you can make sure that your mesh is measured perfectly. Is put your clothespins on the edge of where you just had your mesh, And then we're going to do one more flip. Okay, so now we have a 27-inch piece. I'm going to move those clothespins. Okay, and I'm going to cut it off the roll now. Okay, I'm going to remove my measuring tool. So now I have one 27-inch piece. So to make the trumpet, what we're going to do is we're going to, with your mesh still sitting like this, you're going to, about 1/4 of the way up the mesh, we are going to squish the middle into the middle and put a zip tie there. Now, this is going to make the size of your trumpet coming out of your flower. Should you want a smaller trumpet, you may want to go a little higher and just do half. So when you put your trumpet up, it will be like not as tall. Okay, hope that makes sense. I like to do it about 1/4 way up. So usually you can go like this, but I like to grab the center and push that side in and then the other side in. It just makes a nice pleat, I find, and it doesn't bunch so much. So now I'm going to put a zip tie. Now if you don't know how to use a zip tie, the zip tie has a head and a tail. The head has a flat side and a more concave side. To use the zip tie, you're going to take the tail and you're going to put it in the flat side. Okay, now let this go for a second. Put it in the flat side and pull. You should hear that zipping sound, and when you pull it, that's not going to open. Okay, if you try and do it backwards, it's not, well, A, it's going to be really, really hard to get through, and B, if you do get it through, if you go to pull it, it's just going to open. Okay, so when you are doing your zip tie, I tend to always use my fingers to feel if my flat side is facing up towards the ceiling. If it is facing up towards the ceiling, I know I'm doing it right. Okay, so I'm going to grab my middle again and bring this side in, slide my zip tie underneath, and I know my flat side's towards the ceiling. And I'm going to bring the tail. Okay, now I'm going to tighten it, but not tighten it too much. I'm going to leave it a little bit loose, enough that I can slip another zip tie in there. Okay, now you can take these off. And there's one. I know it looks funny right now, but once I show you how to put it in, it will look stunning. So we'll do another one. We need 8 of these, so do another one. Ooh, that wasn't a very straight cut. There we go. So we've got 9, 18. Now you can put your clips here if you want. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to flip it over one more time. 27. Now I'm going to put my clips in. And cut it off the roll. Okay, you can remove your measuring tool. I'm going to go about 1/4 of the way up, pinch it in the middle, bring the side in, bring this side in, zip tie, the zip tie head, the flat side's facing the ceiling. I'm going to come around. I hear that zip, so I know I'm good, and just zip it. Okay. There's our second one. So we need to make 8 of these, so I am going to pause it here while you make your 8, and I will make my 8, and then once you're done making your 8 petals, press play, and we will continue on with the wreath. See you in a second. Welcome back. So now we have these funny looking petal thingies. I'm not going to show you how we're going to put them in right now. So let's put them all to the side. So you should have 8. Now, when I'm doing my petals, I like to keep my zip ties, the the tails always to the right. That way, if I forget to snip them off while I'm going, at least I can just look to the right side of my petal and I know to check there if it's still going to be there or not. So your petal hopefully will look something like this, or maybe even see how tall mine is. Yours might be a little bit shorter, but it should look really similar. Okay, so next thing I want you to do, so we've marked out where we're putting these. We're going to go take one of your zip ties, and these are 6-inch zip ties, by the way, and it is on the list. You can use 7, 8-inch. You can also use pipe cleaners if you do want, and if you don't have zip ties available. I just like zip ties better. I have eczema on my hands, and I find twisting the pipe cleaners cuts into my fingers and stuff like that, and your wrist gets really sore. You know, all that twisting, you literally, if you're making a lot of wreaths, you can get a carpal tunnel big time. Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to put this petal in. So this short part is going to be facing out towards the outside of our frame. And we are going to do this by, we're going to kind of sit, this part is going to sit on the frame like so. Okay, now you'll see it a little bit better while I'm doing this. It's a little bit low. If you do want to move it up. I just kind of want to make sure they're all about the same. That looks pretty good. Okay, so what I've done is you're going to put a zip tie through the back side of the wreath. Now we're using the white side of the frame only because we're using white mesh. If you're using white or cream, I like to use the white side. If you're using any other color, you can use the neutral side. That way you don't see the frame. So I'm going to go in with my end of my zip tie, the tail of my zip tie, through the hole closest to the center. And I can feel underneath the board, I can feel the head of the zip tie. The flat part is facing up towards the board or the ceiling. Okay, you can put that down. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take the end of your zip tie, you're going to go up and over your the back of your zip tie petal, and you're going to go up, over, and down through this corresponding hole. Okay, so again, you got your zip tie in the hole closest to the center. You're going to go up, over the zip tie on the petal, and down through that hole. Go underneath and grab both ends of your zip tie, and you can flip your board over and zip it, and as you're tightening it, pop it right into the hole, and you'll have a nice flat back. Okay, now you flip it back. Now you're going to make sure this one that you're going to tighten it nice and tight as well, and you can snip it off. I just have wire snippers. You can just use scissors as well. Okay, that's our first one. So I like to also use my clothespins just to move our petal out of the way so we can work on the next one. So again, we are going to go up through the first hole, get your petal, place it flat so this short part is facing out towards the outside of the wreath, and you're going to go up and over and through the corresponding hole. Stuck in the mesh. There we go. And pull it down, flip it over, zip it, and pop it in the hole. Flip this one over, make sure you tighten it. It's good to use good zip ties. I buy my zip ties from Uline. I do buy it in bulk. You can buy them from the dollar store. They're not the greatest quality, so if you do buy them from the dollar store, don't be surprised if like a quarter of them break as you're pulling. If you're making wreaths for customers, I would not suggest using dollar store zip ties because they do break down. They're just plastic, right? But the dollar store ones aren't the highest grade of plastic. Amazon does sell them, and they have their zip ties are pretty good quality. But you can also buy them at Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever. Those ones are pretty industrial, and they're not too expensive either. But if you're going to make a lot of wreaths, do yourself a favor and buy yourself a bag of, especially if you can pick up from Uline. There's Ulines all over Canada and United States. I usually just get my hubby to go and pick that up to save on the shipping. Okay, so I'm going to leave you here, and you're going to finish the rest of these outside trumpet petals, and you're going to do them the same all the way around. So we have 8 of them, and once you're done that, press play and come back and we'll continue on. See you in a sec. Okay, welcome back. So your wreath center should look something like this. It's like really pretty, just like this already. That would be a really pretty center. But anyways, we're just going to leave it like that for now. I'm going to now put the string in my wreath for my hanger. This is just, I usually do this right at the beginning. I forgot to show you, but I'll do it now while we can still see. So on your wreath frame, there's 2 marked holes. You're just going to put each of your twine ends through those 2 holes and just double knot to make a hanger. Now you can use twine, string, whatever you have handy. Something that's going to hold up your wreath, although the wreath is not very heavy once we're done. So, alright, so our hanger's done and out of the way. So the next step we are going to do is going to be their inside petals. Now, you see the daffodil when you look at the picture. It's got big petals that look like spades. Just push this out of the way. So our big petals will look like this. Now, you can really see through, even though this is 4 layers of mesh, you can see through these layers. So we're going to make a backing so that you don't see through your frame, and it makes a really pretty, makes this petal look really pretty. So we're not going to make this petal just yet, but I will be showing you. Right now we're going to make that inner petal that's going to cover the board. So I'm going to get you, I guess I should have probably did this maybe beforehand, but if you can see on your board, I'm going to push this back, there's sets of holes on this outside here, okay? There's a set of 3 and a 2 in the middle. This middle 2 is the ones we're going to use right now, and then when you push your even further, this one right here, you can circle that as well. This is going to be for your large petal, so I'm going to put your large, and this one's going to be for our inner petal, and you'll see once I get going what I am meaning. So these 3 holes right here, we're not even going to use. Now, should you want to put green leaves going around your daffodil, you can use this hole right here and fold your green leaves. But I still haven't found a picture of a daffodil with green leaves around it, so I don't think you need to put the green leaves, but should you want to, you can use these holes right here, so you can put 8 leaves. But for right now, we're going to be using these ones last, and we're going to be using these 2 sets right now. So I'm just going to go around and mark my 2. And this is why teaching with our wreath system is so easy, because you just direct your students, you know, exactly where to put their zip tie. That's basically all you're doing. You're showing them how to make the petal and where to put the petal. Okay, so I have my board marked, my string on. I'm just going to put it to the side now because we're going to make that inner petal. Now, to make this inner petal, we're going to use a 24-inch piece. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just flip this over. Just clip it. Now this doesn't have to be really, really precise because this petal you're not actually going to see. It's just actually a filler. Okay. Take my thing out. Okay, so you can leave it clipped like this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take the corner where it's folded and bring it over so it makes like a triangle shape. Okay, then I'm going to take this corner and I'm going to fold it over to the center, and then I'm going to take this corner and fold it over top. So we have this type of petal. Now I'm going to just scrunch it in the middle, take a zip tie, wrap it around where I just scrunched it, and zip it so it's tight but not too tight again. Okay, and then I'm going to take my board and the two corresponding holes that are in between the three. I'm going to take another zip tie. I'm going to put it into the hole closest to the center. I always work with the hole closest to the center because then the zip tie in the back, they all line up perfectly and they fit right in the hole. So with this, I'm going to actually be fastening this center or this petal right here. Okay, so to do that, you just take your petal. So you take that little piece, this little tail, and just flip it up so you can see the back side of your zip tie. I'm going to take the tail of my zip tie. Let me try and push this back so you guys can see better what I'm doing. My dogs are always barking. Don't start. Okay, there, you can see a little bit better. Okay, so I got my zip tie in there. Now I'm going to take the tail of my zip tie and I bent this leaf up so this part is facing outwards, and I'm going up and over and through that zip tie and down through that corresponding hole. Okay, I'm going to then again tighten it on the back. Hearing that zip nice and tight, pop it in the hole. Oh, I don't have it too right. And then I'm going to tighten this one nice and tight and cut off so there's one petal. So I'm going to do another one. So again, 24 inches or 18 inches, sorry, 18 inches, so 2 times over. I'm not going to clothespin it because this one doesn't need to be totally precise. Like I said, it's just a filler so you don't see through the big petal. So you're going to fold it over. It almost looks like kind of an umbrella. And fold that over, and then fold the corner over. Pinch it in the middle. Take a zip tie. And zip tie it. Take another one. Get your board. And so we'll go around, and now we're going to do this one right here. Up through closest. Bend this little piece back so you have access to the zip cut tie. Now you guys, once you're doing a few of these, you might find your own way to do it a lot faster and easier. I just find this way, like I don't even do it really like this way, but this is the easiest way to teach for the beginning. But yeah, whatever works for you. If it works at a different way and you get the same result, go for it. Okay, pop that in and make sure you tighten. Clip that off. Okay, I'll do one more. Another 18-inch piece. Okay, making your umbrella. Fold that in. Fold that in. Remember, it doesn't have to be totally perfect. You're not going to really see this petal. Duchess is barking outside. Her friend next door must be outside. I wonder really what they say to each other. You know they're talking. Because one dog starts barking, then another one starts barking, and then my two start barking, and it's just like, are they really talking? Are they saying like, hey, what's up? What you watching on TV? Or what they had for dinner, even though it's usually the same, except in my house, because my dogs always get my scrap. I always give them the last bite of whatever I'm eating. It's so bad. And then I'll complain because they are sitting and staring at me, and I wonder why. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys here. So you're going to finish the rest of your 2 holes. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more left. So you can even count on the back. So I've done 3. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more left. So there's 8 total. Okay, and once you are done that part, you know the drill. I'll see you in a sec. Okay, welcome back. So your wreath should look something like this, with these funny looking petals coming out. And you're probably either started your first roll or just ran out. I just ran out. So I'm going to have to, for my next petals, I'll open up a new roll. I just see a zip tie I didn't snip off. So just have a quick check. I didn't snip off quite a few of them. It's easier when you don't have the white mesh to see them, because they stick out a lot more, but they kind of blend in with the white mesh. Okay, so we're going to put this aside again, because now we're ready for our big petals, and we're almost done. Okay, so I'm going to open a roll, a new roll of mesh. Okay, so this big petal, you could either use 27 inches or 36 inches. Because, and why I mean either or is because I'm using white. The white is very see-through. Trim off that beginning edge. The white's see-through, so I want to make my petal as dense as possible. So I made a petal right here already, and it is 4 layers. And for the white, that's perfect. Now, if you're using like a dark purple or something, you probably only need 3 layers. So you would only need to flip 3 times like you did at the beginning. But I'm going to use 4 flips. So, well, 3 flips, but 4 pieces. So that's my 1 piece, 2 pieces. Now you can put your clothespins on here. Okay, and try to make it as tight to the board as you can so you don't waste all your mesh. So that's 2, 3, 4. So that's 4 pieces I'll have right here. So take my clothespin off, and I'm going to line up the edges as best as I can before I cut this off. You can do that after you cut it off, but I like to do it right while it's still on the roll. And that way I have a nice cut when I do cut it. Okay, so I'm all lined up. I'll flatten it out a bit, and now I'm going to cut it off the roll. A little bit. Okay. So we have a square with 1, 2, 3, 4 layers. Okay. What I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to turn it so it looks like a triangle. And this corner is the corner we want the petals to show, because that's going to be the very tip of the petal. And there's no fraying and there's no single pieces. So that's going to be the top of our petal. So you can remove your measuring board and flatten this out the best as you can. Now line the tip up so it's all lined up with the seam, and put a clothespin going right across like that to hold it down. Okay, and you can do the same. Make sure the edges are the same. And I'm going to clothespin it here. That's why clothespins are so, when you only have 2 hands and you need 4, you just grab clothespins. Okay, so for this petal, I usually go about a 1/4 way up when I put my zip tie. Now, where you put your zip tie is how big your petal is going to be. And this is the petal that's coming out from the trumpet. I find going 1/4 way up, the wreath is quite large, but it still fits on the front door, and it looks absolutely stunning. Like, it's definitely a statement. So I'm going to keep it at 1/4 of the way up. So I just kind of guess what about 1/4 of the way up is, and just scrunch it so it's starting to form almost like a spade or an eel. No, that would be a stingray. Sorry, not an eel, a stingray. That's what it looks like. Anyways, so now you're going to get a zip tie, and where you pinched it, you're going to zip it right there. Okay, and that's our first large petal. So it looks like one cohesive petal, but we have the layers to give it the dimension. Now I'm going to cut some of this tail off. Now I'm not going to cut it too close to the zip tie because I don't want anything coming out of the zip tie. I'm going to put it a little bit tighter because I only need a little space for another zip tie to come in. Okay, so there's our first one. And I'll make one more, and then I'll show you how to put it in. And then we're almost done. Okay, so we're going to do 4 again. So 1, 2, 'This petal I'm more particular about than any of the other petals, because this petal you do see, and you want it to make it look like one petal, so you want to make sure it's lined up nicely. Okay, so that's 2, 3, 4. Okay, I'm going to take this off, clip it, and remove the measuring tool. Okay, and I'm going to cut it off the roll. You guys now see why I use electric scissors. Can you imagine I have to... You can do that, or you can get your rotary cutter just as well. Okay, so I'm going to turn this so it's a triangle again, or a diamond, not a triangle. I don't even have my shapes down. Okay, and make sure the edges are nice, and I'm pinch that down, and I'm going to put a clothespin to hold that together, and I'm going to put another clothespin on this corner to hold that in. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go about a quarter way up and just pinch it in the middle. Grab a zip tie, go underneath. Flat side of your head of your zip ties facing the ceiling, and just zip it. And there's our second spade. Turn this off. Stingray. And then I'm going to just cut this tail off. Okay, so you're going to need to make 8 of these. So I'm going to leave you be again to make 8 of your petals. And once you have done that, you can come back to me. I would suggest turning on your glue gun at this point as well, because we are going to be done the wreath very shortly, and we want to make sure our glue is nice and hot. Okay, so make 8 of these, and once you're done your 8, let's finish off this wreath. I'll see you in a sec. Me again. Let's finish this thing off. Okay, so you have your stingray looking things. We are going to attach it now. Now, hopefully you turned your glue gun on. If not, please do. Now you should probably have a quarter of a roll of mesh still left. Don't toss it, because you can use it for some kind of other flower for a center or another layer of a sunflower. So always put it aside. Have a little bin of extra mesh, and that way you can use it all up. Okay, so now this step is a little bit of digging. It's a pain in the you-know-what, but because we are wanting to get into these 2 holes right here. So it's right below this filler petal right here. So if you can get your clothespins to give you a hand, put one there and one there. That can give you some room. And you can cut off this tail from this filler petal. Okay, so I have these 2 holes. There we go. These 2 holes are what we are going to access right now. So again, you're going to put your zip tie in the closest hole to the center. Okay, and then you're going to take your funny looking spade one, and you're going to put it in the exact same way you put this one in. So you're just going to flip up that little tail part to expose that you can get into that zip tie that's on it. You're going to bring your zip tie that you just brought through your board. You're going to go up over the zip tie through the corresponding hole. Yeah, I know you're thinking, this is so easy. And yes, it is easy. It wasn't as easy to create it. It took a lot of taking apart, and I think this one took me about 19 hours in total to actually figure out, and I think I may have ripped it apart probably 4 times before I actually loved it. Okay, so I zipped it on the back. I'm going to pop the back in the hole. I'm going to tighten this one and cut off the tail. Let me use my little wire cutters. Okay, and then this is going to be Now this is why we're going to use a glue gun. Eventually we're just going to kind of mold this petal under so it kind of puffs out, and but see how you can't see the board anymore because that little filler petal is in there. Okay, let's do the next one. So you basically just have to look for your filler petal. I'm going to take that clothespin off. Oh, look at that. Another zip tie didn't snip. It's the only thing with working with the white, because the zip ties are white. But if you're left in there and you don't see them, chances are you won't see them in your wreath either. Okay, so I am accessing this one where I put L for the large. So up through that hole. Now when I put it up, I could feel that the flat side of my zip tie, there, the flat side of my zip tie was in the right position. Okay, got my big old spade petal. I think it's a stingray petal. I'm going up over the zip tie that's on the petal and down through the corresponding hole and pulling down. I'm going to zip it and pop it in the hole. Now I'm going to tighten this one, cut off the tail of the zip tie, and just kind of fold this up so it kind of puffs up. And then you want to get that tail, see that tail right there? You're going to kind of push it under. So when we do our trumpet, the trumpet is going to cover all of this. Yes, there's always a method to my madness. Okay, I'll do one more, and then I'm going to leave you guys again to finish off your portion. And then we have just the center to do. How exciting. Well, no, not just the center. Well, I'm going to show you how to glue down our petals. But the rest is just gluing. So I'm going to cut the tail of that filler off, just because it's deco mesh is so scratchy. Again, there's another. I'm not very good at cutting my zip ties off. Alrighty, so let's push this to the side. Let's give us access. So I'm going into there. I just love my new handy dandy camera. Like, talk about awesome, right? Being right over top. Like, this is better than any physical workshop, because when I do physical workshops, you can't see what I'm doing with my hands. So I have to go around pretty much to each person and show them. Okay, grab another petal. And cut the end off. So just pull it back, up and over, through the zip tie, down through the corresponding hole. Lift your board, grab the two, pull it down. Zip, pop it in, push, pull your zip tie on your petal tight, snip it, and then tuck that little tail in underneath the ruffle of the trumpet. Okay, so I'm going to leave you here because now you have 5 more that you can continue on with doing. And when you come back, we're going to finish this sucker. Okay? See you in a bit. Okay, thanks for hanging in there. We got this great big ginormous flower right now, and we are going to finish it off. Now I'm just going to go around and trim some of these little strings that I can see. Now you can do this. Actually, I should probably do it outside. these little stringy things from the deco mesh, they stick to everything, your carpets, everything. So I tend to like to do all my trimming outside. But okay, so we have these big petals now, and hopefully you plugged in your glue gun, because we are going to use our glue gun now. Now I use, to glue the petals down, you can use any kind of glue, hot glue sticks. I use Gorilla Glue for everything. I just find the hot Gorilla Glue sticks, they, you know, should I sell this wreath or whatever, I don't have to worry about it coming apart. For the center, especially for the center. For the center, when we do glue it down, you really don't know where somebody's going to hang it up should you be making it for someone. So I tend to use the Gorilla Glue, hot glue, but I also use E6000. But I'm making this for myself, so I'm just going to use the hot Gorilla Glue. I know it's not going to Arizona or anything, so the center won't fall out. Plus it's styrofoam. Styrofoam glued onto anything pretty much bonds to anything, so. Thirsty. Okay, so now this is really going to be a bit difficult for me to tape here. So I'm going to work on this one petal. So I'm going to kind of clothespin these other petals out of the way, just so I can show you what we're going to do. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to be working on this petal right here. And this is how you're going to do every petal. So what I want to do is I want to fluff up the center a bit. Move this back too. I need some more. Oh, there's another one. Another clothespin. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to fluff up this a little bit, and then I'm going to fold these sides of them, just fold them back just a bit, and I'm going to glue those folds down. Now to do this, I'm just going to shut my phone. I'm going to run some glue. See how we had those 3 holes right there? Just before those 3 holes, I'm going to run a bead of glue right there. I am going to fold this large petal, just fold it a little bit into the middle of it, just so when I press down that it's just a little over the top hole here, and then just push it down. Okay, and I'm going to do the same on this other side. So I'm just going to put a bead of glue, fold the petal over just a bit, and then just press down so that it is just covering, halfway covering the top 3rd hole. Okay. You can also, if you want, you can put a dab of glue, just a little bit so you don't see it, up at the top, and then close this with a clothespin. So I'll do that right now, but do not use your fingers to close it. So I'm just going to put a little dab of the hot glue there. Take one of these clothespins and line up, make sure the edge is lined up, and just clothespin it down. And then you can move that inner petal, you can push it, move it up a little bit, so it gives it that stability, and your petal won't be flopping all over the place. Okay, I need another glue stick. Okay, so I'll do the next one. So I'm going to do this one here. Take my clothespin off. So I'm going to put a bead of glue right before the 3 holes. I'm going to fold it over the petal at the side just a bit, just so it goes halfway over that one. So you can still see the 3 peeking out. And how we're going to fix that, I will show you in 1 second. Now make sure all your ruffles that are from your trumpet, they are all pulled up, and your stems of your big petals are underneath those ruffles. Okay, so we have this one's glued down and this one's glued down to the side. So I'm going to join them just by running a little bit of hot glue on the deco mesh itself. Okay, and then just pinching them together like this. Now you can use, I always have pliers, needle nose pliers nearby, only because sometimes my hands are so dry that I can't pull the zip tie. But you can use that, or you can use a clothespin, or use 2 clothespins, and just push the seams together. Okay, so we want to, I'm going to do down more in here as well, and just push. That's not a very good one. These 2 good. And just push them together. So if you're using really good hot glue, it only takes a few seconds. If you're using just like dollar store glue sticks, you may have to do it a couple times for it to actually catch. But that's why I don't even bother. You always use the Gorilla Glue sticks. They are a little bit more expensive, but you get what you pay for, and you know they're going to work really well. Okay, so I'm done. This petal right here is all done. Okay, I'm going to just swing this around, and I am going to continue. So I'm going to work on this 3 right here. So I'm putting a bead of glue. And fold it over just slightly so that it's, when I press down, it's just halfway over that top hole. See that top hole right there? It's just covering. And I do that so when I do the other petal, it's much easier to join them together for the seam. Okay, and now we'll put another bead for the other petal right there. Just fold it over a bit. Now make sure you grab all the layers, not just the bottom layer. And press down. And then once I've done this, I'm going to put a bead of glue up here, and then I'm going to join those seams again. Okay, so I'm just going to run some glue along that edge of the deco mesh and that edge. Take my 2 clothespins and push the seams together. Now, should you want to make your petals all uniform, like I said, you can put a dab of glue on the end of each petal. You can do that right at the end. Okay. I'm going to turn. So you're going to keep doing this all the way around our flower. Until we get to where we started. Make sure you got all the layers. There we go. run some glue along the side there. Take out the dog hair. Oh, and I see a zip tie. Oh my gosh, I'm a mess here. Push your seams together while your glue is still hot. Now, if you can still see the board, don't fret, because we're still going to puff up our trumpet part of the flower, and you won't be able to see anything of the board or anything. Usually when I'm doing this, I'm watching Housewives of New York or something on Bravo, my favorite station. I think I just love reality TV shows because it's like really like mindless TV. You don't have to think about what you're watching. Because usually I'm doing something while I watch TV. So if it's some kind of like criminal show or something, you actually have to pay attention. So you can't really craft while you watch those kinds of shows, because there's an actual real storyline. So if I watch something on Bravo, I know it's just almost background noise, but something amusing about seeing catty women on TV fighting all the time. You just think to yourself, like, really? And I wonder if they really act like that in real life, or if it's just because they're on TV. Because some of them are just, you just shake your head and it's like, oh my God, you're like a despicable human. Pieces of deco mesh all over from cutting the tails. Why does this keep auto focusing? Okay. Okay, a couple more. Actually, I'm just going to go really fast here so we can, I'll finish doing the seams and gluing down my corners afterwards. Now, don't go too fast because you'll end up burning yourself, because I've done that. Oh, these dogs. Okay, stop. I put a note on my door that I was videoing, but they hear one little noise and they go berserk. Okay, so I'm going to finish off these seams. I have my petals glued down, so the seams are easy, as you can see. Just going to glue down the last side of the petal here. Okay. So now we need to fix our ruffles. Now, that piece of the trumpet, you're going to pull that ruffle. You see it? You can start separating it. Now, you don't have to spread it all over, but if you just separate it nicely, it does cover up any of the zip ties that you may see or the board. Plus, it gives it some dimension, because once we put the center in, that trumpet part of the flower is going to get pushed back, and it looks so pretty. I had one lady that came to my door and she just kept staring at it, trying to figure out how I did it. And as you can see, it's really not that hard. It's just trying to be getting creative. Okay. I hate strings too. I'm sure you guys all do too. Anyways, okay. So now we are ready to put our center in. So this part, a little bit of muscle, because we're going to push all this back. So give it a pull. So your center is exposed. You should see your Unique in the Creek if you're using the white side. Okay, I got it pushed back pretty good. So all you have to do is kind of slide it back on the zip tie, because our center will fit perfectly in there. And no, I'm really bad with these tails. Okay, so we have a nice clean center here, and it's open. So you're going to grab your styrofoam. Now, this is where I would put a bunch of Gorilla Glue, and then you can also put some E6000 as well, and then that center, you know for sure, will not be going anywhere. But for this, I'm just going to use my Gorilla Glue stick. So you're just going to glob this on. Right onto the board, and then you're going to shimmy this styrofoam, pushing back to make sure none of the deco mesh is underneath your styrofoam, because you want your styrofoam circle to be right on the board. So as you're pulling your mesh back, push down on your styrofoam, and voila, you can tell that it's right on the board. And that is not going anywhere. So it's really snugly fit. Plus with the Gorilla Glue, and if you're using the A6000, you have nothing to worry about with this. Okay, so there we go. Our center is in. So now we're going to fix our trumpet. So you're going to pull up. Kind of just pull this straight up. And then you're going to just kind of wrap each one around each other, that they're hugging each other. So just kind of see where the deco mesh is going, which way, so you're not twisting the wrong way. And it's forming that trumpet part of the daffodil. Now, if you want, you can use little dabs of glue to keep your pieces exactly where you want it. I kind of like the wild look, so I am going to just leave it be like that. And I just have to play with it so it wraps around itself and kind of into the center. So if you fold it inwards, they stick and wrap it around each other. And then pull down your outer ruffles so they're not pulling the trumpet part down, because they'd like to stick to each other. Now keep in mind I didn't do all my seams yet, so you do see some of my board. Okay, and now you can bring up, make sure all your pistons are up straight, and you can even separate them if you want more. So if you were doing a few orange and yellow, you would separate them so you could see the orange and stuff. Probably have to work on this trumpet thing. I'll probably add a little, oh, there's a ruffle stuck in there. That's probably why this one's not going. I might add a few little dabs of glue to the trumpet part to make it behave properly. Some of them are not wanting to behave. And then when you're done, you can bring it outside, cut off all your strings you see, and make it all nice and pretty. Make sure your leaves are puffed out and you don't see any of your boards. Your seams are done. And you have made yourself a daffodil flower. Now I'm still waiting to hear back from the Cancer Societies. So this tutorial, portion of the proceeds from this tutorial will be going to the American and Canadian Cancer Society, since daffodil is their thing. And I've heard there's like daffodil events and all kinds of stuff that have to do with the daffodils. So, you know, the daffodil festival. That would be really cool to do. So anyways, there's my finished flower. Well, not completely finished, but you guys can tweak around with yours. Make sure your seams are done. And that is it. We are done. And I hope you enjoyed this and you make something beautiful. Send me pictures of your creations. I love seeing them, especially when you use and think outside the box and use some fun colors. Yeah, so again, thank you for joining me, and I hope you try one of our other flowers. Right now we have six flowers for the summer. I think that's a good number to end with for the summer while I work on the fall ones. Okay, everybody, have a great day, and thanks again. Happy wreathing. Bye-bye.